We had this planned for like a week. Heads up. In other words, behave. Thank you.
There's Jeff.
Jeff,
Now we need Kim.
how do I get rid of a
Texted me, she is not feeling well.
Changed her mind.
Fire
After I told her
extinguisher.
there's a meeting.
How do I get rid of a fire extinguisher?
We're on tape.
Well, we'll get you later. We have 6 o'clock.
All right.
That in quick.
All right, I'll call the Mayville Common Council meeting order at 6 p.m. Please take the roll.
Alderperson Baker.
Here.
Alderperson Smith.
Here.
Alderperson Henkel. Here. Alderperson Winter. Here. Alderperson Buskey.
Here.
Alderperson Olson is excused. We have a quorum.
All right, please stand for the pledge of allegiance. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, any citizen comments tonight? Please state your name and address for the record.
Roland Callhammer, 90 Riverview Heights, Mayville. I was here a couple months ago telling you that we were gonna have a cemetery walk, and I thought I'd just follow up and let you know how it went. And we had I think, a good attendance, around 50-some people. We raised some money, and through donations, we're talking about just over $1,000, $1,050. And at this point now, since we're at that point, I contacted both of the monument companies that we work with, which is Miller Monument out of Jackson and West Bend, and Archie out of Juneau and Watertown. And they are coming hopefully yet this week and give me a price on putting everything up that's still down. And it sounded like they will, with what we have raised, they will work with us on that amount.
Well, good.
Which is a good deal because on average, each stone when they put up for the normal size are between $200 and $300. And we have 8 left to go. So, other than that, I do want to mention to you that your city crew, namely Jake, did help me out a lot, mostly with signage and so on, but it was simply, I didn't have to ask him twice. He took care of things, and one less thing I had to worry about.
Right.
But that's it.
All right, well, thanks, Merle, for putting that all together, and glad you guys raised a good chunk of money, so thank you.
Thank you.
Good job.
Yeah, I heard a lot of good feedback about the walk. Everybody
did.
enjoyed themselves.
I did too.
All right.
Went well.
All right, presentation, discussion of annual audit results. Presenter is Clifton Larson.
Hi, I'm Brian Grunwald with Clifton Larson Allen. Thank you for having me here this evening. In terms of tonight's discussion, I can see you've got the paper copies in front of you, the audited financial statements, and then we also have an executive summary that we put together. For purposes of tonight's discussion, I'm just going to make a few comments. I summarized some information from both of those documents and just put them together in a brief PowerPoint. If anyone has any questions, certainly happy to address those further. In terms of the agenda, just want to spend a few minutes giving you an overview of the different audit reports that are included within your financial statements. I want to talk about a few brief highlights, and then I have a few slides that are related to regulatory standards. That's governmental accounting standards, things that we need to follow in terms of completing your audit. Just have a few slides of information on that. This first slide here, this is again a summary of the different reports that are included within your financial statements. There's actually 2 different
You
reports.
guys all see that? Do you want me to turn off the light?
I can see it, okay.
Okay.
Okay. The first report there is the auditor's report on the basic financial statements. That's on pages 1 through 4 of the financial statements. You can see there, it's what we call an unmodified opinion. Essentially means that I believe that your financial statements are complete and accurate and in accordance with our professional standards. So that's exactly what you should hope or expect to see as part of the audit process. In addition to that, we also have a report on internal control. That starts on page 77 within your financial statements. And we are not required to issue an opinion on internal control, but when we become aware of conditions, which we refer to as findings, we do disclose those and communicate those. So you can see the reference on the slide in front of you, and again, with both of those, there is additional language that's included in the financial statements. The first one there, 25-1, preparation of the annual financial report. Fairly standard comment that discloses that we, CLA, as your auditors, are the ones who prepared your financial statements. And as a part of that process, I do want to stress, we have a lot of information sharing that goes back and forth. Any adjustments that we propose, we provide support, we share drafts. We did work with Anastasia and Cameron as we wound up the audit process, working through those drafts. Nicole did see those too before she left, by the way. So again, just want to stress that it's kind of a standard disclosure, very common for organizations of your size, that we have that type of comment. The second comment there, you'll see the reference to the adjustments to the city's financial statements. As a part of the audit process, we did propose several adjustments. Two of those were a little bit larger. We refer to those as material audit adjustments, and because of that, we do have a comment on that too. Both of those related to accounts payable and retainage, and then also deferred revenues. So think year-end cutoff type items. Again, we went through that in detail with the staff. Cameron did have some ideas and thoughts about implementing new processes and procedures, and obviously we'll work through your transition here and make sure that we work with your, if you do get a new treasurer or finance director, to make sure that things are properly implemented as you move forward. Any thoughts or questions on those before I move on? Okay. This next slide here is labeled as governance communications. I included this to give you an overview of what's in the executive summary on the first 3 pages. The first 3 pages of that is a standard letter. I'm going to refer to that as required communications for any governmental audit. The language that's included in there is very standardized, a lot of accounting specific terminology. And this slide gives you an overview of some of the topics that are included in there. Everything from accounting policies. We talk about the fact that there was no unusual or significant transactions. Again, you'll see the reference to material audit adjustments. And you can see the rest of the content on the slide here. Again, what I wanted to leave you with is it's standard communication, nothing that I would say is a red flag, nothing that's unusual, other than we do have the reference to those material adjustments, which I mentioned on the previous slide. Any thoughts or any topics there that catch your attention? Okay. Then I just want to move into a few of the financial statement highlights. And whenever we think of a government financial statement and your financial condition, the first thing that I always like to look at is your fund balance reserves. Think of those as the reserves that you have left. And this is focusing on your general fund. I like this slide because it gives you some perspective of what those balances have been over time. The sum of all the categories, the different shades on the slide that you see there at the end of 2025, you did end the year with $2,469,000 in your general fund reserves. That is an increase of $208,152 over the previous year. So certainly positive from a budget to actual results and budget to actual year. I'm not going to get into detail of your budget to actual. That can be seen on page 13 in your financial statements, and certainly any other detailed reports could be printed out of your accounting software. Just a couple other highlights or thoughts there. As I look at a couple of those categories, the top category, that darker blue category labeled as non-spendable, those are dollars that are just that, non-spendable. They've been earmarked or tied up for different purposes. The primary reason for your non-spendable balance at the end of 2025 is the tag center and the amount of money that's been advanced to that tag center. I'm going to talk about that more throughout the discussion. Out of that 1.1 million, 781,000 of that relates to the tag center. The other category that I want to mention there is the assigned. As the council goes through and sets aside funds, there are balances that have been set aside, and you can see the detail of that on pages 55 through 57. Again, earmarked for specific purposes, primarily fire department and library. And then that unassigned category is really anything that's left. We ended the year at 1,287,000 in that unassigned category. So up a little bit from the previous year. And if we can go to the next slide, from a benchmarking perspective, I always like to look at that unassigned category. Again, think of those dollars that are left or are available. And to benchmark that, we like to look at your budget and the actual expenditures flowing through your budget to express that as a percentage. Here on the slide, you can see the last couple of years, you've been very consistent in that unassigned fund balance percentage at 26 to 25.9%, up a little bit from 2023. Overall, we do have some additional comments where we talk about financial policies, benchmarking. One of the things I would encourage you to take a look at and revisit would be a fund balance policy. A common benchmark for fund balance and unassigned fund balance would be 20 to 25%. So you can see you're slightly above that. Certainly considered to be.
I thought we did have a policy.
You do have a policy. I think it was done through a resolution that's a little bit older. As part of our comment, we just thought you should step back and look at all of those
Okay.
policies.
That was 25%, we have that money.
Yeah, okay. So you're right in line with that, and again, that policy would be a strong percentage. Okay, and then you're just moving into some of your other special revenue funds. This is just showing your balance, your reserve of what's left at the end of 24 versus 25. You can see those balances on the slide here. If I just jump all the way to the bottom, the total for all of your special revenue funds, you can see that they've increased slightly up to almost 1.3 million versus 1.1 million for the previous year. I'm not going to go through all of these. Do want to just emphasize or point out that the numbers that are in brackets are in deficits. One thing that sticks out to me is that recycling fund, but the deficit there has come down a little bit from 24 to 25. And then this next slide just gives you a snapshot of those fund balance reserves for both your debt service fund as well as your different capital projects funds. Reminder with the debt service fund, that balance is considered to be restricted for future principal and interest payments. You can see you ended the year at 646,000 there. And then we move into the capital project funds. Just want to point out and remind you that from the capital improvements perspective, we do tend to see those balances fluctuate depending on timing of when you have issued debt and received debt proceeds versus the timing of when you spend those proceeds. So just pointing out that when you see the change from 1.6 million in 2024 versus what's left at the end of 2025, again, due to some of the unspent debt proceeds that were on hand at the end of 2024. Then we move into the tax incremental districts. You can see the balances that are left there. The one that really sticks out to me there is TID number 7, and we'll talk more about that as we go through the process here. Sorry, go back to this one. TID 7, and you ended the year at just over $1 million. So I'll talk about that in a second. Jump ahead to the next slide. This is getting into just specifically tax incremental district number 4. Just wanted to give you a snapshot of the results for the year, revenues versus expenses. And what sticks out to me on this one is just the trend that you've gone through with your fund balance. If I look back at that 2024 column, the fund balance January 1, that's showing you what's left at the end of 2023. At that point, you did have a deficit of just under 100,000. So you have made improvements on that each of the last couple of years, ending 2025 with a deficit of 67,000.
We're anticipating that to be even at the end of the TID.
Yep. And just to comment on that, the TID was created in 2009. Your termination date is 2029. So very common to see upfront investments in TIDs and then to recover those costs as you go forward. So as the mayor just mentioned, you're just whittling away or working through that deficit. So again, very normal. TID number 5, this one, the termination date, the maximum termination date is out 2033. So you have quite a bit of time with this one as well. Again, you can see the revenues and expenses here. You started the year with a deficit of 251,000. We're able to decrease that down to 150,000. Again, what sticks out to me on this one is the amount of the increment revenues that you're generating versus your principal and interest payments. And just giving you a snapshot of TIF number 6. You can see the revenues for the year coming in at 120,000, expenses at 39,000, net change in fund balance increasing those reserves 81,000, ending the year at 134. And then TID 7, again, a reminder, created late 2024, termination date out in 2044. You can see the activities for the year here, starting out with your expenses, spent $104,000 during 2025. You also had other financing sources, the long-term debt issued of $1.1 million. So you did have ending fund balance of just over $1 million. Again, just wanted to remind you that that was created by some of those unspent debt proceeds. So tracking those and spending of those to be reported as we move forward to 26. Then we move into the water utility. Here, this just gives you a snapshot again of your revenues and expenses for the year. Again, in that comparative format. The lines that I really like to focus on with this are that right in the middle of the page where it shows the operating income. I always think of that as what are the revenues that we're generating from providing that service versus those direct operating expenses to provide that service. You can see your operating income coming in at just under 900,000. A couple big things there. Obviously, your water rate increase that was effective in early 2025. And then also on the expense side, water tower painting in 2024, not recurring, so resulting in a reduction in their expenses there. Then we've also got the non-operating items, capital contributions and transfers out, leaving you with a total change in net position. I always think of that last line as what's the sum of all of our revenues and all of our expenses. Positive $778,000 for the water utility in 2025. Similar format here with the wastewater utility. Again, looking at your revenues, I can see the increase in the revenues. From that middle line there, the operating income or loss, you can see ending 2025 with operating income of just under $714,000. Again, we've got those non-operating items, interest income, interest expense, capital contributions and grants, and transfers out, leaving you with a total change in that position of just over $2 million. Again, as a reminder, that capital contributions includes approximately $1,336,000, which is the grant portion of your sewer revenue bond. And then we move into the TAG Center. Again, you can see the operating revenues fairly consistent year over year. Operating expenses up slightly. And then that operating loss line with a loss of $684,000. You do have other revenue sources there, primarily your property taxes, interest income, et cetera. And then also want to point out the capital contributions on the second last line there, but overall change in that position, that deficit of $353,000 for 2025. And then I also, financially, in addition to what we just went through, I always like to take a look at your general obligation debt. So this slide is really focused on the statutory debt limit, that's that red line. So think of that as 5% of your equalized value. So nice to see the growth in that red line, moving from approximately 24.2 million up to 30.5 million over the 4 years that we've got presented here. So steady growth in your equalized value. The blue line represents the amount of outstanding general obligation debt. So that is only looking at general obligation debt, not revenue bond debt. You can see you ended 2025 at approximately 9.2 million. I always like to look at that gap and think of that as, well, how much of our statutory limit are you using? You're using approximately 30% of that debt limit for 2025.
Does that also include utilities?
So this includes all general obligation debt. What it will not include is any revenue bond debt. And I think you've also got some, I think that's all you have on the utility side.
Good.
Okay, and then included within that executive summary, we also do have another section of that where we focus on some other comments. Again, think of them as things that we've observed throughout the broad audit process, things that we would just want to share from an informational standpoint. We've got a comment in there about financial policies. Again, just a suggestion that you take a look at the policies that you do have in place. Make sure you feel comfortable with what's presented in those. Also, maybe an opportunity to consider some additional policies, things like debt management, procurement, credit card type policies. So there's more language in that executive summary letter. The FDIC insurance, just wanted to point that out, there is no requirement in terms of what is done from an insurance or collateral standpoint on your cash and investments. Why we include this is we're required to look at and include a disclosure in your cash footnote that talks about the cash balances that you have with any financial institution, any bank, and to disclose if those funds are collateralized or insured or not. Again, there is no requirement. We're just trying to meet the obligation of that disclosure. We did notice that we do have some cash and investments that are not covered with FDIC insurance. We talked about that during our visit. Cameron was a part of those discussions. Anastasia was a part of those discussions. I believe the thought process is that they were just going to reach out to the banks and see if there was some options with regards to collateral type options. So
Yeah,
again,
we're working with the bank.
yeah, perfect. So no requirement. I just wanted to point it out, which is why we had that comment. Segregation of duties, again, just a reminder, and certainly as you're going through, like your situation with turnover, always important for organizations this size to think about how do we best segregate duties, how do we get that system of checks and balances, get multiple people involved with transactions, and then also, just a reminder, there's some language in your letter that references also the decentralized cash collections, having those other cash collection points. So something you should always be aware of. We get another comment that relates to information technology. Think of cybersecurity risk as part of the audit process. We don't give an opinion on any of that, but we do reach out and we talk to your consultants, your IT consultants. We reached out and had some correspondence with representatives of your accounting software. Just wanted to make a comment. I think there's an opportunity to just think about a more formal risk assessment as part of that process. And then the last comment there just focuses on the TAG Center. I know I talked earlier about revenues versus expenses. What this comment and the other comment included in the management letter is really looking at is the amount of cash that has been advanced between the general fund and the TAG Center. So you can see that balance here. And again, I referenced that earlier, but at the end of 2025, there's approximately $781,000 that's been advanced between the two. Obviously, all being tracked, presented in your financial statements. Just wanted to point that out. And then this last section here, so the reference to GASB standards, again, regulatory requirements, the Governmental Accounting Standards Board, things that we need to follow as part of the audit process. I'm going to go through these super quick. Again, Cameron we've had some correspondence on these comments. Our intent is just to share information. There's a lot of information on our website, and as these standards are required to be implemented, we'll work closely with your team to make sure that they are. So there's a few standards in the pipeline. This is referencing statement number 103, deals with financial reporting. It is effective for the next year's audit, the 2026 audit. There'll be some slight presentation type changes or enhancements that we'll make, particularly with regards to budget to actual presentation for your general fund, and also for your proprietary fund, just some classification changes. So relatively minor, but we're working those. Next one is 104, deals with capital assets, again, required to be implemented for 2026. Again, I'm not going to get into the details here, but more information on our website, and we'll work closely with your team as we move forward. And then the last one here, number 105, this one is not required to be implemented until your 2027 audit, deals with subsequent events. So think of any activities that occur after that 12/31 audit date. If there's things in there that we need to disclose, we'll work through those. But again, just some more clarification on that standard. So again, we'll make sure that all of those are properly implemented as they are required to be. Okay. And then my last comment would be is certainly appreciate all of the efforts of everyone on your team. Obviously, we worked a lot with Nicole while she was here as part of the wrap-up process. I was obviously had a lot of correspondence with Anastasia, so certainly appreciate all of that. And again, we've had quite a bit of correspondence with Cameron as well throughout the process. So thank you to everyone from your team.
All right, anybody got questions?
Sure, I have a question here. The statement about internal controls, that's pretty much a standard boilerplate statement in all audits. But we've had a few issues in the last two administrations. Are our internal controls any more lax than normal? I mean, they're expensive to correct, but are we in bad shape with our internal controls?
Yeah, so first, just a couple of reminders. One, we don't give an opinion on your internal controls, and two, you're responsible for those. You know, I would say in an organization this size, there's always some risk. I specifically mentioned those decentralized cash collection points because that's where there's a little bit more risk. I would also say, I think you had taken some steps to make some improvements during 2025, and that's just from correspondence with Nicole and Cameron and whatnot. You know, obviously when you've got a position vacant, it's going to put a little bit more stress on your control. So I think it's something you got to be aware of. You're correct in saying that it is a relatively common comment for organizations of your size. So I just wanted to bring it to your attention and make sure we were talking about it.
All right. Anybody else? One more question. So you do this for a living, but on a scale of, you know, A, B, C, D, F, right? Where do we stand in our audit?
In terms of financial condition, in
Yeah.
terms of performance. You know, I would break that down. I think your general fund is very solid. I think obviously, you know, if you look at your general obligation debt, I think you're solid there too. Obviously, you've been making some improvements with your balancing needs. No concern with regards to debt and debt level. Water and sewer, when I see your water and sewer rate increases, I think those were certainly beneficial financially. Sewer appreciate the ability to take advantage of some of the grant money there, 1.3 million in grant funding. Obviously, the challenge is your tag center, so I don't know if I could give you an A because you got the tag center hanging out there, but you know, I think you're checking a lot of boxes in some other areas.
So a C?
I'd probably give you a B, B minus.
B minus. All right, I'll take it. All right, well, appreciate your time, Brian, and thanks for the audit, and guess we'll be in touch.
Okay, sounds good. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for
you.
coming,
Thank you.
Brian.
All right, agenda changes. Are there any agenda changes? All right, is there a motion to consent the agenda?
Make a motion.
Motion by Hinkle, second by Buskey. All right. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Okay.
Opposed? Motion carries. Report of officers, mayor's report for the month. All right. Hello, friends and residents of Mayville. I would like to start by congratulating the Mayville High School class of 2026. I wish each of you the very best of luck and encourage you to reach for the stars as you pursue your dreams and future endeavors. Congratulations on your accomplishments and a job well done. This past month, the Mayville EMS Service was awarded an $800,000 grant through the state's Innovation Grant Program. This funding will cover approximately 20% of the cost of constructing a new EMS facility. The city council has approved the site along Highway TW just north of the old Shopville building on property that is currently part of the Mayville City Parks. The site will encompass approximately 2.3 acres and is also planned to accommodate a future fire department facility. This grant does not have a time limit, allowing the city to continue pursuing additional grant opportunities to help fund the project. The city of Mayville has also been exploring options for a new healthcare clinic following the departure of SSM Health from our community. At today's city council meeting, I will be asking the council to approve a resolution that will allow the city to begin discussions with Ho-Chunk Nation through a company called Ambe. What could this mean for our residents? The Ho-Chunk Nation has expressed strong interest in bringing healthcare services and potentially a clinic to Mayville. These discussions are being facilitated through a newly formed health advisory committee. I am hopeful that this partnership could provide an alternative healthcare option that will benefit our residents both now and in the future. More details will be shared as they become available. This past month, I met with 3 different developers regarding potential projects within the city limits. These developments could generate millions of dollars in new construction investments. Because Mayville utilizes tax increment districts, To support these types of projects, we will need to evaluate existing district boundaries and make adjustments as necessary to accommodate future growth. If discussions continue to progress positively, I will be asking the city council in the near coming months to approve TID boundary extensions to help strengthen and expand Mabel's tax base. I will also be begin work on the 2027 city budget this month. I understand that many residents are feeling financially pressured as the cost of utilities, food, fuel, and other necessities continue to rise. I also recognize that many citizens living on a fixed income are finding it difficult to maintain their homes. I want to reaffirm my commitment to keeping our tax levy as low as possible. However, the city is facing many of the same challenges as our residents, including rising fuel costs, utility expenses, healthcare costs, and other operational pressures. I will provide additional updates on the budget process in the coming months. On a more positive note, downtown Mayville continues to thrive. Millions of dollars are being invested in building improvements, new apartments, facade enhancements, decorative murals, and other revitalization projects. When business owners, developers, and entrepreneurs visit my office, one of the first things they mention is how impressive our downtown district is and how much they want to be part of it. I would like to sincerely thank all the businesses, property owners, volunteers, and community members who have contributed to improving our central business district. Whether through volunteering efforts, capital investments, market initiatives, or community engagement, your dedication has helped make downtown Mayville a success. Without people like you, we would not have the vibrant downtown and strong community we enjoy today. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. As always, I hope to see you around town and stop and say hi. All right, clerk's report.
I'll keep it brief for you all. The month of June has been heavily focused on liquor and tobacco licensing. My office, in coordination with the police department and legal counsel, dedicated significant time to reviewing several current businesses within the community. While we're proceeding with license renewals at this time, we've identified some opportunities to improve and streamline our processes for the next year. Final preparations are underway for the request for proposals for the bow hunting land and appraisal services for the city. I also continue to work closely with City Hall staff and Elevated Municipal Consulting to ensure continuity of services and appropriate coverage following the departure of our comptroller treasurer. I'd like to extend my sincere appreciation to City Hall staff for stepping up to assist with day-to-day operations during this transition. Cameron with Elevated Municipal Consulting is currently preparing our capital improvement planning and budget worksheets for department heads as we begin preparations for the 2027 budget cycles. We should be engaging with that shortly. All Department of Revenue deadlines continue to be met. Notably, I completed and submitted the annual TID reports well in advance of the July 1st deadline. In the coming month, my office will shift focus toward preparations for the upcoming partisan primary election as absentee ballots go out in late June already. So,
All right. Thank you. All right, treasurers, 7-3A, April 2026 monthly check registers and approval of the bills. It should have been in your packet. I would entertain a motion for approval.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Hinkle,
I'll second.
second by the banker. Any questions or comments on the checks, bills? All right, take the roll.
Alderperson Henkel.
Aye.
Alderperson Baker.
Aye.
Alderperson Smith.
Aye.
Alderperson Winter.
Aye.
Alderperson Buskey.
Aye.
Motion carries.
All right, reports of committees, commissions, and boards. Utility Commission, next meeting date is June 22nd, 2026 at 5 p.m. Library Board, next meeting date is June 18th, 2026 at 5 p.m. Public Works Committee, next meeting date is June 22nd, 2026 at 6 p.m. Personnel Committee, next meeting date is June 22nd, 2026 at 6 p.m. Public Safety Committee meeting, next meeting date is June 22nd at 6 p.m. Finance Committee, next meeting date is June 22nd at 6 p.m. Park and Recreation Commission, The next meeting date, I believe they're having a special meeting,
They are having a special meeting on July 8th.
July 8th at 3:30 PM. I'll make that correction. All right, Planning Commission, next meeting date is June 24th at 4 PM. Community Development Authority Enhancement Committee, next meeting date is June 24th at 5 PM. There is no old business. New business, approved minutes of May 26th, 2026 Special Common Council meeting. Is there a
I'll
motion?
make the motion.
Motion by Smith,
Second.
second by Buskey. Any correction or additions to the minutes? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Discuss with possible action, Resolution 6070-2026, action on 2026-2027 liquor and fermented malt beverage renewal licenses. You have something on it?
Can read it if you want. Otherwise, it's the ones that came through public safety. We have no new people getting licenses. We did have some late applications that will come to you all in July. There was one bar in particular in town who did not turn in any renewal information, so I will do some follow-up with her to see if she intends to remain open.
Any non-renewals?
No, after speaking with legal counsel and the police department, there were some that had some infractions and some violations, but none that at this point met the threshold to not renew. So we'll continue to monitor.
Everything's paid up full?
They will be before they get their licenses. They've all been sent to places.
All right. Is there a motion for Resolution 6070-2026? Motion by Buskey,
I'll second.
second by Hinkle. Any further discussion? Take the roll.
Alderperson Buskey.
Aye.
Alderperson Henkel.
Aye.
Alderperson Smith.
Aye.
Alderperson DeBaker.
Aye.
Alderperson Winter.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Discuss with possible action, Resolution 6071-2026, an action of 26-27 tobacco, vape, and cigarette retail license renewals. That should be in your packet as well.
Yep, much of the same. There was one business that we did have to confer with legal on. It does not meet the parameters to not renew at this time, but we will continue to monitor as we progress.
All right, is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Buskey,
I'll second it.
second by DeBaker. Any other additional discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Discuss with possible action, Resolution 6072-2026, a resolution approving annual operator's bartender's license application. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Buskey,
I'll second.
second by Hinkle. Any discussion? Anything to be aware of on this?
Nope, all of them went through background checks. The police department and I worked in tandem with that. Nothing of concern with these operators' licenses.
All right. Any more discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Discuss with possible action, Resolution 6073-2026, a resolution in support of partnership with Ambe Corporation, Ho-Chunk Nation, and associated tribal partners for the development of affordable healthcare services. Please read.
Whereas the city of Mayville recognizes the importance of accessible, affordable, and high-quality healthcare services for its residents and those of surrounding communities. Whereas the city seeks innovative partnerships that expand healthcare access, reduce costs, and improve overall community well-being. Whereas Ambe Corporation is a Native American-owned company that partners with tribal nations to deliver cost-effective healthcare solutions, including pharmacy services, occupational health programs, and clinic care models designed to reduce financial barriers for patients. Whereas Ambe Corporation's business model leverages its relationship with federally recognized tribal nations, including the Ho-Chunk Nation, to provide healthcare services through unique frameworks that may allow for reduced prescription drug pricing and increased accessibility for both tribal and non-tribal community members. Whereas Ambe Corporation has demonstrated a commitment to reinvesting in the communities it serves by supporting local economic development, workforce opportunities, and community-based health initiatives. Whereas Ambe Corporation has expressed commitment to continuing to work with the city of Mayville toward the goal of establishing a medical clinic in the city limits. Whereas the proposed partnership may begin with the introduction of lower-cost prescription programs and occupational health services for local employers with the long-term goal of establishing a full-service medical clinic within the city of Mayville. Whereas such a phased approach allows for responsible evaluation, community engagement, and sustainable growth of healthcare services tailored to local needs. Whereas the city of Mayville recognizes the value of collaboration with tribal nations and organizations to foster mutual economic and social benefits while enhancing services available to residents. Now therefore be it resolved by the Common Council of the City of Mayville hereby expresses its support for continued discussions and partnership development with Ambe Corporation, the Ho-Chunk Nation, and associated tribal partners for the purpose of expanding affordable healthcare services within the community. Be it further resolved that the city supports exploratory efforts to implement initial services, including but not limited to reduced cost prescription programs and occupational health services as a foundation for future expansion. Be it further resolved that the city encourages the progression toward the potential establishment of a medical clinic in Mayville to serve residents and the surrounding region. Be it further resolved that city staff and leadership are authorized to engage in discussions, planning efforts, and cooperative initiatives necessary to evaluate and facilitate this partnership consistent with applicable laws and regulations. Be it further resolved that this resolution shall serve as a formal statement of the City of Mayville's commitment to pursuing innovative, collaborative, and community-focused healthcare solutions.
That's a mouthful there.
It's a long.
All right, is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Winter,
Second.
second by Buskey. Discussion on this? I think that this gives us another alternate plan for healthcare for our residents. We did think we had another clinic was going to come to town a few months ago, but that unfortunately fell through. And I think this is something that obviously the Ho-Chunk Nation wants to be here in Mayville. This is their territory, and I think this would be something that's worth pursuing and see if we can get something going here. So
Do they have any other clinics in non-native communities?
this will be the first in the state.
In Wisconsin, but
Wisconsin.
they largely work in non-tribal areas because they can already get the tribal health care on the reservations. This allows them to expand into non-traditionally native territories.
Right. They're doing this in other states already, but this will be the first in Wisconsin.
What about being recognized by insurance carriers?
They work with all regular health insurance carriers.
Yeah, they work for,
They don't have to engage with insurance through Ambe Corporation. So they work with traditional healthcare providers.
and Medicare and Medicaid.
Mhm.
And this is just to go and continue to talk to them?
All right, anybody else? All right, take the roll.
Alderperson Winter.
Aye.
Alderperson Buskey.
Aye.
Alderperson DeBaker.
Aye.
Alderperson Smith.
Aye.
Alderperson Henkel.
Aye.
Motion carries.
All right, discuss with possible action, resolution 6074, 2026, appointments to the Community Development Enhancement Committee, citizen member.
Whereas in accordance with Municipal Code 22-16A, the mayor shall appoint subject to confirmation of the Common Council. Whereas Michael Schmidt has resigned from the Community Development Authority Enhancements Committee. Whereas Michael Schmidt was serving an appointment which expires April 30th, 2028. Therefore, the mayor hereby appoints Tara Kennedy to serve on the Community Development Authority Enhancements Committee with the term expiring April 30th, 2028. Now therefore be it resolved that the Common Council of the City of Mayville does hereby approve the aforementioned mayoral appointment to the Community Development Authority Enhancements Committee.
I'll make the motion.
All right, motion by Smith,
I'll second it.
second by DeBaker. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Discuss with possible action, resolution 6075, 2026, annual appointment to the library board, citizen member.
Whereas the term of Mariah Hurst will expire on the library board as of June 30th, 2026. Whereas in accordance with Municipal Code 22-12A, the mayor shall appoint subject to confirmation of the Common Council to the Library Board. Whereas in accordance with Mayville Code 22-12A, citizen members of the Library Board serve staggering 3-year terms. Therefore, the mayor does hereby appoint Nanette Gassner to serve on the Library Board with the term expiring June 30th, 2029. Now therefore be it resolved that the Common Council of the City of Mayville does hereby approve the aforementioned mayoral appointment.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Smith,
I'll second it.
second by Hinkle. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 10.8, discuss a possible action, resolution 6076, 2026, a resolution amending the 2026 budget. You want to read that?
Whereas the City of Mayville adopted its 2026 budget, which included separate accounts for the Allen Street and Muzzy Street projects for bidding purposes. Whereas both the Muzzy and Allen Street projects are currently billed under the same invoices. Whereas consolidating these accounts into a single account will better align with the city's budget and with actual billing practices, while still allowing for internal tracking of project costs for audit and reporting purposes. Whereas a budget amendment is also necessary to authorize the reallocation of unspent 2025 budgeted funds from the designated library reserve account into their 2026 budget. Whereas said reallocation will transfer funds into the public library account to properly reflect available funding for library operations and expenditures. Now therefore be it resolved by the Common Council of the City of Mayville that the 2026 budget is hereby amended as follows. Transfer from Capital Allen Street in the amount of $361,667 into the Muzzy Street in the same amount. Transfer from the 2025 library budget in the amount of $35,698.04 into the 2026 public library unspent funds in the same amount. Be it further resolved that the Allen Street and Muzzy Street amendment is intended solely to consolidate project funding for administrative and accounting efficiency and does not change the overall project scope or total authorized expenditures. Be it further resolved that the library fund transfer represents previously budgeted unspent 2025 funds and does not constitute new revenue.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Smith,
I'll second.
second by Winter. So any discussion? So technically what we had done before was we had 3 separate street projects and they all have their own accounts. So we want to consolidate the one and pay bills. And of course, the library, we're going to have unspent funds, we're going to have it transferred into their fund as well.
After a lot of arguing.
All right. Any other discussion? Take the roll.
Alderperson Smith.
Aye.
Alderperson Winter.
Aye.
Alderperson Buskey.
Aye.
Alderperson Henkel.
Aye.
Alderperson Baker.
Aye.
Motion carries.
All right, discuss with possible action, pay request number 1 to Copeland and Keenest Company in the amount of $336,556.03 for the project 2026 street utility reconstruction project, Muzzy Allen and Grove. Is there a motion?
No.
Motion by Buskey,
I'll second it.
second by DeBaker. Any discussion on this? Take the roll.
Alderperson Buskey.
Aye.
Alderperson Baker.
Aye.
Alderperson Smith.
Aye.
Alderperson Henkel.
Aye.
Alderperson Winter.
Aye.
Motion carries.
All right, discuss with possible action, pay request number 5 to Cardinal Construction Company in the amount of $483,550. Project well number 2, 3, and 5. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by DeBaker,
I'll second it.
second by Smith. Any discussion on this? All right, take the roll.
Alderperson Baker.
Aye.
Alderperson Smith.
Aye.
Alderperson Henkel.
Aye.
Alderperson Winter.
Aye.
Alderperson Buskey.
Aye.
Motion carries.
All right, item 1011, discuss with possible action, quotes for the Take Center projects. Pool chlorinator is listed there for $4,170. Window repairs, $3,800. Roof repairs, $21,455. Pool flow meter sensor was $5,847.56. Funded through the TAG Inc. All these are through the TAG Inc. except for the roof repairs is from the foundation grant. Is there a motion for approval?
So.
Motion by Buskey,
I'll second it.
second by DeBaker. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Discuss with possible action, update the billing service agreement between EMS Management and Consulting Inc. and the City of Mayville. Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Smith,
Second.
second by Buskey. Any discussion? This one here, we're getting a better rate,
Mhm.
so it's a good thing for us, so. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, adjournment. I ordered a chair, we're adjourned at 6:50. Thank you.